Welcome, everybody, to our Innovate and Transform Your Business with Microsoft's Power Platform webinar. Today, we'll be covering an overview of the Power Platform to set the stage. And then we'll drill a little deeper into how to create low-code, no-code apps and Power Apps, how to automate your business processes with Power Automate, and how to visualize your data in Power BI. And throughout those exploratory scenarios into those three different applications, we'll talk to some real life use cases of the work that we've done in this area. And we'll also show some success stories um, from other organizations. And then we'll do a little demo of how these three tools can work together in conjunction to transform your business processes. And we'll end with where to learn more and a Q&A. So let's jump right in. We're going to start off with our Power Platform overview. When it comes to the Power Platform, we're looking at low-code, no-code solutions from a few different areas. Power BI is our reporting and analytics tool. You can use Power BI to pull in data from different data sources to create a shared data model. That can help you identify where you're trending well or where you might need to do a little work, ultimately to help you make informed business decisions. And we'll also be looking at Power Apps, which is true application development. And it really doesn't require much code at all for you to create a fully fledged application. And then we have Power Automate, which is all about automating your workflows. So that could mean moving a piece of data from A to B. It could be sending a Teams notification when an event happens, or it could be an approval workflow. And we'll dive deeper into those areas. Also today, I wanted to mention Power Virtual Agents, which lets you create AI-powered chatbots for a range of requests, from providing simple answers to common questions or to resolving issues that might require complex conversations. We won't be diving in deep here just due to time constraints. And most of the partners that we work with, they don't implement Power Virtual Agents until they're fairly mature in the Power Platform. But for the Power Platform, it's that unified platform of low-code tools that spans Microsoft 365, Azure, and even Dynamics 365 to help you analyze data, build solutions, automate processes, or create virtual agents to transform your business. And it's built upon these systems as well as our third-party integrations, over 600 connectors to other point solutions, so that you don't have to rip out your existing infrastructure. You can build on top of it and leverage it in the Power Platform. And additionally, the Power Platform is a rapid application development and extensibility framework, not just for your professional developers, though they can fully make use of it, but also for your citizen developers. So it has you covered if you're looking to build a solution, if it's a low-code solution, or code first. And automation, when we're talking about this, it's important to understand that it's not an island. And this was an eye-opening experience for myself after our company Vitalis moved to the cloud, which was about 5 or 6 years ago. I thought, well, what's the point? My data is no longer on my computer or no longer housed on a server somewhere in my office building. What's the big appeal? So the real appeal of having your data in the cloud is that your data and these applications, they can talk to each other and interact based on events that you define. So it unlocks a whole world of possibilities. So, for example, if I can set up a Power Platform solution where if somebody, say, uploads a document to a SharePoint document library or a Teams site, that it can trigger an approval process where it goes up the chain through a series of approvers, and then maybe once it gets its stamp of approval, it gets published somewhere where there's more access. Or even something simpler, where if I get an email from a specific person that I state, or a specific email address, and it has an attachment, I can upload that to the cloud so that I can access it from everywhere. So it was really eye-opening for me that I didn't have to work how I used to in the past, where if I wanted to automate something, I would have to, I don't know, write out some Excel VBA or write up a script, and I would have to trigger it when my computer was on. Now, all of this automation can happen in the background just as people are doing their everyday work. And it can happen even when I'm asleep. So that was really eye-opening for me. But let's dive a little bit deeper into the specifics of each of these applications. We're going to start off with Power Apps before we go into Power Automate and Power BI. As the world's most complete low-code application development platform, Power Apps addresses a lot of common organizational challenges. First of all, it boasts the most capable cloud. Power Apps reaches 270 plus million users natively in Teams and Office 365, backed with the full breadth and depth of the Microsoft Dataverse and Azure Cloud. Integration with the rest of the Power Platform enables users to easily build solutions and connect to over 475 different services. And it also enables the incredible breadth of Fusion teams. And a Fusion team is a combination of a power user or citizen developer working hand in hand with a seasoned developer to collaborate on creating apps and solutions for your environment. And it also unlocks massive enterprise scale because the platform's built on a world-class identity platform, and it offers deep analytics and market-leading governance controls. And it allows for advanced innovation with capabilities such as AI, mixed reality, and hyper automation. So that you can really unlock the, the full scale with the existing solutions that you've already invested in today. And Power Apps really picks up where other solutions might fall short. There's not always an app for that. You may have some applications out there in your environment that are good point solutions, but what if you want to have data from those apps interact? And that's really where Power Apps comes in. It allows you to fill whatever gaps that you might have in your environment, allows you to build bridges between these different solutions. As an example of that, there could be a lot of redundancy in business processes, especially when it comes to things like data entry. I might input data in one application. I might have to go actually input it in another as well manually. What if I didn't have to do that? What if I had one single portal where I could put in all the relevant information and it goes to the different applications that I'm using to track? And that's the type of gap that you can help fill with Power Apps. And the best part is that you can get started building these custom apps even if you don't have any coding experience. It's easy to build Power Apps and incorporate Power Automate workflows using the drag and drop interfaces and the Excel-like expressions. The app studios for these Power Platform tools also include pre-built templates so you can easily build on top of your existing data infrastructure. And once your Power Platform solutions are ready, you can easily share them with frontline workers who can access it from their mobile device or information workers who can access it from the team's desktop app. And whether you have access to a team of professional developers or a group of tech-savvy business users or citizen developers, Power Platform allows you to develop more apps and develop more quickly to address your critical needs. As for common use cases we encounter with our clients, a lot of it comes down to, at least in the early stages, it's usually simplifying data input. So let's say, for example, I have a form that I use to log interactions with my customers. And in that form, I have a region field, a drop down where I'm choosing my customer's region, and then a customer field where I'm picking my particular customer. What if, when I selected the region, maybe East Coast United States, in my region dropdown field, my customer dropdown was automatically filtered to just show the customers for that particular region to make it easier for me to interact with my form. Even something as simple like that, some simple, just employee experience focused functionality, it's not something you could quickly spin up in SharePoint or Excel. And it's something we would look to Power Apps to implement. And when it comes to building these bridges across your data sources, Power Apps is typically how we would surface information or input information. But Power Automate will be your solution for handling the data processing and other automated actions that are triggered by our users. And that's where Power Automate really comes in. It's there under the hood behind almost every Power Platform solution to implement automation. With over 650 built-in connectors, it's very extremely likely that you can utilize and bring in the different applications that you're using in your business processes to build that automation. And the different types of solutions you can implement are vast. For example, let's say when somebody submits a Microsoft form, we want to have it post a response in Teams or alert somebody that a response has been submitted and what the response is. That's a very simple task that you could implement in minutes with no coding experience within Power Automate. And I mentioned approval processes before because that's one of the most common applications of Power Automate that we typically see at Vitalist. Not to say it's the only thing you can do with it. Certainly not. It's a very open-ended tool. But approval processes are extremely common. Um, Without any of this automation, we've seen different levels of approval processes. It might be I just need to reach out to my manager and chat. It might be I need to send an email to a few different people. Or maybe we have a legacy SharePoint approval process from the old out of the box workflows where I have to go and manually trigger it. All of this can be made much simpler in Power Automate. Um, for instance, we could have it kick off as soon as somebody makes a submission, like upload a file or add a list item to SharePoint. And we can also have it dynamically respond and dynamically change the approval process based off of whatever metadata we want. For example, maybe when somebody submits a form that requires approval, it goes to their manager. So we can have Power Automate check on who should I send this approval to based on the submission, something we previously couldn't do before. We can also program in different branching approval processes. So if it's a maybe 1, 2, or 3 stage approval process, we can do that. If it's a parallel approval process that goes to a few different people, all of these are very simple to spin up. And there's already pre-built templates that you have to spin these up in minutes. You just have to go and fill in the gaps. Furthermore, Power Automate makes it very simple to track these requests and see the different actions that took place in the workflow history. And you can further embellish these templates with convenience features, such as, well, if I have an outstanding approval that's been waiting for a response for 5 days, I could build that into my workflow to send a gentle nudge or reminder to the approver to let them know that an item is pending. And while these approval workflows are extremely common, it's certainly not the only use case. Power Automate is also very prevalently used to save time on repetitive tasks or administrative processes. This can enable everybody to save time by setting up these workflows through a no-code guided experience. To give an example of this, we recently worked with a skin and hair product manufacturing company where their standard business process when they were going to launch a new product was tracked in an Excel file. And they didn't want to get away from that. It's been their business process for over 20 years. But they wanted to streamline it so that their project managers didn't have to go and ping people on Teams or hold weekly status update meetings to see where people were at with their tasks for the launch of their new products. So, what we did was we kept their existing infrastructure, their standard Excel file where they would log and track their tasks, but we extended upon it by building in Power Automate workflows into the workbook. This allowed the project manager to assign tasks right from the workbook. They would simply select the task in the row, kick off the Power Automate workflow from the Power Automate Excel add-in, and type in the email address of who they want to assign the task to. That would trigger a Power Automate flow, which would actually create a task in Microsoft Planner and assign it to whoever the project manager stated. So um, that was a great solution for their existing infrastructure, and we extended further upon it with another Power Automate workflow so that when an assignee updated the task to either in progress or complete, that that data would then get sent over to the project manager's Excel workbook, which allowed them to save a ton of time in weekly status update meetings, since they were always aware of what the most up-to-date status for any of their tasks were. But let's move forward with Power BI. Your organization's data is one of the most valuable assets, and using that data effectively can greatly improve how your company operates, especially in frontline scenarios. Power BI offers meaningful analytics and intuitive dashboards and reports integrated with Teams so you can easily share reports in channels and chats, making it easier for everyone to access and find that consumable data so that they can use that to improve how their work gets done. There's also a Power BI app for Teams that brings together much of your organization's data in one place, making it easier for you to find the data you need. Like the rest of the Power Platform, Power BI offers pre-built templates, and you can also rely on existing data connectors to customize your own. You can use Power BI to get live insights and analytics with several options for sharing and collaborating on interactive content in Teams. We at Vitalist have done a lot of work in Power BI. Internally, we streamlined our reporting processes for our various services, like our training services, so that our training engagement leads who are recommending specific classes for our clients, so that they can see what topics are trending and getting a lot of traction and attendees to those trainings, so that they can maybe recommend, okay, maybe we need to offer some 200 or 300 level in this particular topic that's really popular here. We've also worked externally. Very recently, we worked with an organization regarding their employee experience data, from the data that they were collecting from surveys, the data that they were collecting through Viva Insights. And they said, we want to bridge the gap between these two data sources so that we have one visible portal into our whole employee experience. And we help them build that shared data model so that they had that master view of how engaged their employees were at work. But now that we're a little bit familiar with what these applications are, we're going to take a look at how another organization successfully implemented these tools to streamline their own business processes. So the reason we chose this success story is just because it involves all three of the Power Platform applications that we've discussed so far today. Let's take a look.
When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, all industries were forced to put their infrastructures to the test. The U.S. government passed the CARES Act, which included financial support for small businesses under the Paycheck Protection Program. This included loans and forgiveness on qualified expenses. The scope was huge. More than 5,000 U.S. banks have processed over $500 billion in loans since the program began, and over 5 million borrowers have benefited from it. The challenge was that, as loan forgiveness program evolved, the eligibility criteria kept changing, making it difficult to calculate forgiveness levels and process claims. Ernst & Young, one of the world's largest professional services firms, saw an opportunity to help, and that's where Microsoft Power Platform comes in. A fusion team at EY, composed of tech professionals and business experts, was able to build a comprehensive solution that collected all documents, performed automatic cross-checks for accuracy, and assembled a complete loan forgiveness application in just 12 weeks. Since deployment of the first prototype, EY has been able to process over 50,000 loans, totaling more than $10 billion on behalf of its banking customers. So, how did EY go from prototype to production and achieve all that in just 12 weeks? Let's go back to where it all started. The first step for the Fusion team at EY was to pitch its idea to customers. They created a working, low-code prototype of the lender application, which allows lenders to review and process documents for loan forgiveness. This prototype helped to establish instant credibility with clients and win business. The team at EY was able to work together in real time, dramatically short-circuiting feedback loops and requirements gathering. Building an app went from being a single-player experience to becoming a multiplayer collaboration surface, as teams of professionals work in real time together. The team didn't have to worry about the nuts and bolts of making a solution work. Instead, they could focus more on the flow and the data elements that they needed. The UI for the borrower portal, the whole business side of the solution. The next step was to create the borrower portal, the externally facing website that provided a unified interface to manage the loan forgiveness, check eligibility, provide documentation, and track progress. The UI team was not just able to get amazingly fast delivery times, as security and privacy are more important than ever. They built a solution in the most secure way, with robust security and privacy controls built in. The next challenge for the team was to make sure that the solution works seamlessly with multiple third-party services using both pre-built and custom connectors. This is one of the most important aspects of the solution. The ability to connect with multiple third-party services is what enabled the tool to cover the entire application process and submit a complete loan forgiveness application. As the project moved forward, the team needed a way to better manage the steep increase in inquiries from thousands of applicants. The best option was to create a chatbot that responds to frequently asked questions related to the loan forgiveness program. The virtual agent provides instant responses and information for borrowers through multi-turn conversations. One of the areas that used to keep the EY team up at night was how hard it is to build reliable automations so that they can just set it and forget it. Now, in just a few weeks, they were able to set up a fully automated process which will allow borrowers to digitally sign their application, submit it for review, and work with the lenders through secured messages and email to resolve issues. The original process made by unstructured emails, instant messages, and phone calls that make up the bulk of the loan requests was completely transformed. Documents are now automatically scanned, and relevant data is extracted and cross-checked with loan data. Additionally, the team quickly built dashboards displaying real-time metrics, such as the number of loans processed, time to process, quality check logs, and performance reports. After only 12 weeks, the team at EY was ready to go to production. Since then, the tool has also become a model for other product development efforts at EY. And there is so much more to unlock, as organizations like EY can unsilo their business data, provide integrated technical support, build new data landscape across hybrid sources with automated data discovery and sensitive data classification, and drive new experiences across their organizations. Our goal is to inspire entire organizations to participate in digital transformation and to embrace holistic low-code.
So I hope you could see it was almost towards the beginning there where they're actually creating the Power App and the Power Automate flow that we're not looking at dozens and dozens of lines of code. In fact, you're not seeing any lines of code. It's them interacting with the interface elements. And that's probably 90% of the time that I spent when creating these myself or working with somebody else who's creating them. There's some portion of writing expressions that are similar to Excel formulas, but it very rarely comes down to actually needing to write some lines of code. And in the rare cases I've worked with where it does require that, it's only maybe 3 to 5 lines of code. It's very much more just interacting with the user interface elements. But that's not all we had for you today. In addition to this success story, we're going to switch over to a demo here that also utilizes all 3 of the applications that we talked about today to transform a business process. So in this demo, to help with incoming customer service calls, this fictitious company, Contoso Cable, has built a customer service app with Power Apps. And that's pinned inside of their customer support team in their customer service channel. And here I am, I'm Lynn, I'm a customer service rep, and I'm going to field an incoming customer service call. So I head on over to my Power App and launch the customer service experience. Here, there are sections where Contoso Cable has set me up with some Contoso approved upselling language to help find the best solutions that my customer's looking for. And today, I'm speaking with a new potential customer, Enrico. And Enrico wants to hear about the latest packages and prices that Contoso Cable is running. So I can click into our latest promotions and view our options to convey these over to Enrico. I share them with my customer, but they actually want a lower price for the security package than we're offering. So I need to submit a special request so that it can go through an approval to see if this price reduction is acceptable. So I go ahead and I fill out my form with Enrico's information. I fill out their proposed amount and which product it is. It was our security package. And then I can go ahead and submit this for approval. When I do submit it to approval, it'll go to my accounts manager. And we're going to switch over to our accounts manager view now. For our accounts manager, they get a notification in Teams, specifically from the customer special approval request channel. Going here, my manager, they get an adaptive card that shares the discount approval information that I requested. Then my manager can choose to either approve or deny the request. So let's say my manager approves it. They can go ahead and submit any comments that they would like to. And when they're done, they submit the approval. And this is done right from this channel in Teams so that I can go ahead and just check on this channel, see what the status is to see if my manager approved it or not. We both have visibility into it. But we're not the only two that have visibility into it. I'm going to switch views here to Enrico. So Enrico actually receives an email here from our Power Automate flow. The flow reached out to Enrico automatically and said, hey, congrats, your request has been approved and your customer service representative will be following up with you shortly. So that's not all that Contoso Cable built into this team. They also embellished it with a Power BI report. It's here in the same customer service channel. And the data from the call that I just had and all others like it give all the members of this channel insights into the outcome from their calls. Either myself or my manager can drill into performance data like our customer satisfaction scores, and we can even filter by our support lead to see any trends in the regions that Contoso Cable agents have been supporting with various promotions and services. And it also gives us insights into products sold in our revenue tab here. So Power BI also allows Contoso Cable to monitor which SKUs are generating revenue and which SKUs are seeing customers sign up. So Contoso Cable leveraged Teams as the platform to incorporate our different Power Platform solutions in. We have our Power App where I can use to help me field my calls, our Power Automate workflow to automate our process so that we don't have to manually go make these requests and in these unstructured back and forth via email or Teams. And additionally, through Power BI so that we can effectively track and see what's trending and see what's popular. So switching back here,
When the COVID-19
just want to mention a little bit more about where you can learn more if you're interested in building your Power Platform strategy, regardless of where you're on in the maturity curve, if you're just getting started or if you've put it out there and you're looking for assistance with adoption or support, we have you covered. So you can feel free to reach out to Matt Musial here. This deck will be provided after our webinar if you want to learn more about how to build your Power Platform strategy. But I did want to take a moment here to see if there was any questions that came up. Miranda, was there any questions in the Q&A?
So currently, I don't see any questions in the Q&A, but if anyone has a question, we invite you to pop them in right now, and we'll give you a few moments to do so. All right, Pat, it looks like you did an amazing job and there's no questions today. But if there's any questions that do come up at any time, feel free to send Matt Musial an email and he would be happy to help you answer them and dive deep into the topic. Thank you so much for presenting today, Pat. It was wonderful. And thank you to all the attendees joining us today. Thank you for your time, and I hope you learned something new about Microsoft's Power Platform. And to wrap it all up, I'd like to appreciate everyone for attending today's webinar. Don't forget to visit our website at vitalist.com to register for any upcoming webinars and events, and follow us on LinkedIn to stay up to date on any new technology that we share. And thank you again, everyone. Have a wonderful week ahead.